Hello everyone. Welcome to my bold and the beautiful gossip channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Before we dive into today's content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and show some love by giving this video a thumbs up. The Logan versus Forrester war hotted up with the Forresters winning this rearmost battle that formerly again involved Steffi and Hope. The action picked up when Brooke walked in on Hope and Carter. She easily intruded their office shenanigans, and the two spent the rest of the occasion explaining what was going on between them. They principally said they can't put a marker on what they're yet. They're going sluggishly and seeing what develops. Meanwhile, Brooke wanted to know if they were serious. She asked about Carter and Katie a couple of times, but substantially she wanted to make sure they were over. Carter said they were musketeers now, and that's all it presumably ever was. Still, Hope and Carter prompted Brooke not to tell anyone about this budding relationship. Brooke agreed. In the CEO's office, Steffi, Eric, and Ridge banned at Carter's pitch. They couldn't believe he'd such an elaborate vision for Forrester. They all felt they were a family business. Doing what Carter proposed would bring by too numerous investment bankers, and they didn't want that. What Steffi wanted to know was why now? Why did Carter unleash this pitch on them at this moment in time? Her conjecture: Hope was manipulating Carter. Steffi refocused out how it wasn't that long ago that Carter was on her side, and now he's pushing for HTF hardcore. It had to be Hope's doing. Eventually, Hope, Carter, and Brooke continued to talk about what Brooke witnessed when Steffi suddenly walked in. She incontinently wanted to know what they were talking about. Steffi wasn't playing. She wanted to know what Hope, Carter, and Brooke were talking about. They prevaricated and said their discussion concentrated on Carter's vision for the company. Steffi had to tell him she felt the idea was too big and not variably Forrester. And if he wanted to know what Ridge and Eric allowed, he'd have to talk to them. Also, she advised Carter about Hope and her manipulative ways. He responded by telling her he didn't have a weak mind. Also, Steffi asked to talk to Hope alone. Steffi tried to get to the center of what was passing between Hope and Carter. She had no dubiety that Hope was using Carter to help save Hope for the future. Meanwhile, Rich and Eric were on the same runner regarding Carter's grand idea. They felt it was all wrong for Forrester. Latterly, Ivy and Electra walked into the room. They were urged to pitch their line. Eric and Ridge approved the jewelry line reboot. While Brooke and Carter talked, she still felt the need to gauge whether or not Carter was authentically into her son. After all, she demanded Carter to be 100 all in with having Hope's back. He verified he was, and unlike Liam, he wouldn't blend. Eventually, Steffi lit into Hope, saying not to forget that the only reason her line was still alive was because of her. And if she ever crossed the line with her hubby again, she and HTF were over. Carter eavesdropped and intruded the heated discussion. He told her she had no right to talk to hang Hope and her line. Steffi shouldn't use her position as CEO to discipline her. Finn and Steffi cozied up at home. Neither wanted to go to work, but they knew they had to. Before going their separate ways, they banded Steffi's issues at work, Vitalis at Hope and Carter, and the fact she didn't indeed suppose they should do the jewelry line. When Steffi left for work, she accidentally forgot to take her tablet. At FC, Hope and Carter were alone in their office when he mentioned that Brooke's bedroom designs were in, and he took a look at them. Hope, of course, flirted with him and had to remind him that he'd been allowing about her and lingering again. Latterly, Brooke walked in on them and wanted them to flash back where they were. They formerly had close calls, and they had said they wanted to keep their situationship on the down low. Ultimately, Carter decided to go talk to Ridge about any opinions made about his plan. Meanwhile, Ridge and Taylor talked about her broken heart pattern and how she was doing better. She indeed visited Grace for a scan. The Croaker was happy to hear about the whole cake remending session they did. In the middle of their discussion, Carter intruded them to ask if there was a decision about his ideas. Ridge was a little protective at Carter's asseveration that this was what Forrester demanded to do to grow. Ridge felt they were formally doing that and that no decision had been made. They all demanded time to suppose about it because this was a big deal. Carter hoped Ridge had his side in this and talked about Steffi letting particular conflicts get in the way. Eventually, Finn walked into Hope's office with the tablets Steffi left at home. Of course, Hope had made the decision to change into one of Brooke's bedroom designs. Allowing she was going to surprise Carter, she was hella surprised when it was Finn rather. The awkwardness got worse when she tripped into Finn's reticent arms. Right at that moment, Steffi walked by and saw Hope and lingering in Finn's arms. She incontinently yelled, "Hope, you get off my hubby right now." Steffi wanted to know what the hell Hope was allowing, and after Finn left to go to work, Steffi demanded to know what was going on. Hope tried to explain that she wasn't dressed like this for Finn, but she stayed silent when Steffi wanted a name. That was all Hope demanded to do, and she didn't say anything. So Steffi fired her. Shyla neatly dressed up like a witch for Halloween, and she managed to go a step further, and she decked Il Giardino out. Cleric wasn't as important of an addict of it as she was, but he went on with it because, for one, it was too late to change it. Carter stopped by for some pizza, and Cleric got a chance to talk to him about how Carter had his son's back. He appreciated that notoriety at Forrester stood by Hope. Back at Forrester, Brooke and Taylor banned at Hope, and Steffi being on contrary sides. Brooke was glad that Carter had Hope's back. Taylor argued Hope's side of effects and brought up Hope kissing Finn, which was why Steffi didn't trust Hope at all. Brooke assured them that nothing between Hope and Finn would be again. Taylor and Ridge were formerly again alone when Steffi raged in and told them what had happened between Hope and Finn. She also told them that she fired Hope and that she hoped her pater would back her on this. Hope was dressed in her regular work outfit again when Katie walked by. After telling her aunt what had happened, Katie told her she'd have her back. She didn't suppose Ridge would authorize of this blasting, but she'd put in a good word for her bastard. Meanwhile, Carter went to Eric so they could bandy his ideas for the future of Forrester. Eric appreciated everything Carter did to get this pitch ready, all the exploration he'd done. He noted that to make this all be, Forrester would have to take out loans, which would mean that Forrester would be in debt for the first time ever, and that wasn't going to be on Eric's watch, so it was a no for him. Hope walked by on Ridge, Steffi, and Taylor to explain her side of effects. She said it wasn't what Steffi allowed it was. After all, how could she have known that Finn was indeed going to be there at that specific time? Unfortunately, Hope didn't clarify effects by explaining why she really dressed up in lingerie in the office. She understood how it sounded, but Steffi said she'd say anything to save her line, including lying through her teeth. Steffi advised Hope over and over again, and she knew the consequences if commodity differently should be. They were no longer supporting HCTF, and this alleged girl's girl demanded to go because she was a fake and a fraud. Ridge and Taylor watched Steffi call Hope what Stephanie called Brooke so long ago, another test. From the valley, Steffi wanted Hope out now and said they would shoot her effects. In front of Charlie and arbitrary Forrester workers suddenly in the hallway, Hope professed how proud she was to be a Logan and that was commodity. Indeed, Stephanie accepted in the end. Ridge told her to go, so Hope made the walk of shame to the elevator. Steffi thanked Ridge for supporting her. His facial expression read that he knew he was going to be in trouble with Brooke sooner rather than laterally. Also, Hope rushed outdoors, where Carter in a convertible pulled up, stopped, and also got out, wanting to know what had happened. Hope told him she was fired and asked him to please take her down. After they participated a kiss, Carter looked at the Forrester Creation signage and said, "They're not getting down with this." The bold and the beautiful spoilers uncover that Carter Walton will choose to knock the power-stumbling Forresters off their platform. After the brutal treatment Trust Logan recently persevered, Carter will believe now is the ideal time to make a splash. When Trust updates Carter on the subtleties of all that just went down at Forrester Manifestations, he'll be considerably more aggravated up. Regardless of Trust endeavors to persuade Steffi Forrester that she wasn't alluring John Finnegan, Steffi would not trust her. Carter will feel like Steffi was way off the mark for terminating Trust, and he will not be content with Edge Forrester for sponsorship Steffi up by the same token. The more Carter harps on this, the angrier he'll turn into. Obviously, there'll be an additional layer of disappointment since Eric Forrester hammered the brakes on Carter's extension plan. Eric would rather not remove such countless dangers and go from the design wheelhouse they know so well. Since Steffi and Edge weren't energetic about Carter's extravagance image proposition, possibly, that will give him one more motivation to smolder over their way of behaving. Carter will be more started up than fans have at any point seen him as he plots with Trust close by. During the 7-day stretch of November 4 to 8, Carter will really do some conceptualizing and think of a method for causing some Forrester commotion. Taking everything into account, it'll be an ideal opportunity to flip around things at the organization and lose the overall influence. As such, Carter's vengeance plot is going to start off. It's simply a question of how Carter will approach accomplishing it. Carter could attempt to attack Forrester from within and conflict with the dedication he's constantly given them. Obviously, Carter's unwaveringness is to Trust presently, so that will drive his wrathful activities pushing ahead. Be that as it may, it's likewise conceivable Carter will stop Forrester Manifestations and target them another way. Carter could expect to accomplish his fantasies somewhere else and make everybody at Forrester sorry they questioned his great plans. In the event that Carter can't get Trust and her line back at the organization, he might need to set the entire thing ablaze. Our B&B forecasts highlight Carter making a few new foes en route, so we'll bring you reports on any retribution plot subtleties. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Carter will flaunt a perilous new side of himself and convey some stunning news in the approaching episodes. As far as Carter's concerned, it'll be time to turn things upside down at the company and throw off the balance of power. In other words, Carter's revenge scheme is about to get underway. It's just a matter of how Carter will go about achieving it. Carter might try to sabotage Forrester from the inside and go against the loyalty he's always given them. It's clear that Carter's loyalty is to Hope now, so that'll definitely drive his vengeful actions moving forward. However, it's also possible Carter will quit Forrester Creations and target them another way. Carter might hope to achieve his dreams elsewhere and make everyone at Forrester sorry they doubted his grand plans. If Carter can't get Hope and her line back at the company, he may want to burn the whole thing to the ground. Our B&B predictions point to Carter making some new enemies along the way, so we'll bring you updates on any revenge plot details. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Carter will show off a dangerous new side of himself and deliver some shocking news in the coming episodes. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for the following 2 weeks, November 11 to November 22, uncovered that Forrester Manifestations will stay buzzing over Trust Logan's terminating. However, Katie Logan will caution Steffi Forrester and Edge Forrester about the PR bad dream they're releasing. During the 7-day stretch of November 11 to 15, Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes will likewise have a standoff that brings a life-changing inquiry. Brooke will be the person who asks it, yet it'll be Taylor's response that makes a splash and enrages her opponent. B&B spoilers hint that Taylor will presumably discover a good method for destroying the Logans and cause it to look overall more appealing. At El Giardino, Minister Sharp will discuss the expectation issue with John Finnegan. In spite of the fact that Minister will demand Trust's undergarments fall was a mishap, Finn will see that as difficult to accept. Back with Edge and Steffi, they'll think about Carter Walton's peculiar choice to turn into Trust hero unexpectedly. Steffi and Edge in all likelihood will not stall why Carter is so out on battling for Trust and her line. At the lodge, Carter will show Trust a few papers and gloat about a revelation. Edge and Steffi will some way or another commit an error that helps Carter on his way to vindicate, so he'll clarify his huge thought for trust. In the meantime, Bill Spencer will get one more unusual letter from Luna Nozawa. Now that Luna knows Bill and Poppy Nozawa separated, she'll be still up in the air to get a reaction out of her previous mentor. Luna might truly want to make charge her old flame as of now, however she could expect a few visits to begin. Maybe Luna will attempt to persuade Bill to give her some legitimate assistance and get her moved to a mental office. Done with Electra Forrester, she'll give up to enticement with Will Spencer. Will and Electra ought to allow themselves to fall into a sizzling first kiss, so Electra will like where this sentiment is heading down. It'll be much better compared to the past Electra got away when she came to Los Angeles with Ivy Forrester. Electra will open up to Ivy and express help since a person named Remy Price is out of her life. All things considered, a few worries will rise for Electra when she's pushed into the Forrester spotlight thanks to this Jim's line recovery. The last thing Electra needs is for Remy to follow her to LA and create some issues. Tragically, Remy is going to re-emerge since he's a stalker who can't get Electra as far away from him as possible. During the 7-day stretch of November 18 to 22, Electra might get the shocking inclination that she's being watched. It's additionally conceivable Remy will send Electra a disrupting gift or two and eventually affirm her most obviously terrible apprehension about him finding her. Obviously, Will might guarantee that he would allow any damage to come to Electra. However, what might be said about Will himself? Might Remy at some point target Will and attempt to kill the opposition with unnerving outcomes? Back with Carter and Trust, it seems as though they'll push ahead with their vindictive plan. The Forrester-Logan fight ought to deteriorate thanks to this arrangement and the size that get assumed control over it. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers express the following 14 days will bring a few stunners and purges, so we'll pass along additional storyline forecasts and updates on all the shocking news ahead. That said, some concerns will bubble up for Electra when she's thrust into the Forrester spotlight thanks to this jewelry line revival. The last thing Electra wants is for Remy to follow her to LA and cause problems. Unfortunately, Remy is about to resurface since he's a stalker who can't get Electra out of his head. During the week of November 18 to 22, Electra may get the eerie feeling that she's being watched. It's also possible Remy will send Electra an unsettling gift or two and ultimately confirm her worst fear about him tracking her down. Of course, Will may promise that he won't let any harm come to Electra, but what about Will himself? Could Remy target Will and try to eliminate the competition with scary results? Back with Carter and Hope, it looks like they'll move forward with their vengeful scheme. The Forrester-Logan feud should get even worse thanks to this plan and the size that get taken over it. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say the next 2 weeks will bring some shockers and shakeups, so we'll pass along more storyline predictions and updates on all the stunning news ahead. During the 7-day stretch of November 18 to 22, Electra might get the shocking inclination that she's being watched. It's additionally conceivable Remy will send Electra a disrupting gift or two and eventually affirm her most obviously terrible apprehension about him finding her. Obviously, Will might guarantee that he would allow any damage to come to Electra. However, what might be said about Will himself? Might Remy at some point target Will and attempt to kill the opposition with unnerving outcomes? Back with Carter and Trust, it seems as though they'll push ahead with their vindictive plan. The Forrester-Logan fight ought to deteriorate thanks to this arrangement and the sides that get assumed control over it. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers express the following 14 days will bring a few stunners and purges, so we'll pass along additional storyline forecasts and updates on all the shocking news ahead. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates.